So Macy the mountain dog is growing like a weed. I will post some update videos on TNP Patreon. Watch for those. We've done multiple hikes. I have some other outings planned, multi-day backpacking trips. Now I have another mountain dogness in the project. And I got to tell you, it is wonderful. Very, very wonderful to have another dogness again. Another black girlfriend again, as I always said, with Allie the mountain dog. Mrs. Nut and Fancy loves her. I love her. Oh my goodness. So much fun to come. It really is like old school TNP, y'all. And yet we are in year 13 of the project. We are coming back to tabletop, not the barricade, not the bunker, on the Savage A22. Are you excited? I ask because generally, and I've said this before, flatlined for 22s here in the project. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't get it. So I don't review that many because it seems like most y'all, as judged by the view numbers, don't care about 22s. I still love them. And if you watch my BOK videos, that is bug out kit videos, what gun do I end up with in the kit? That's right, Papoose. A Papoose is my go-to bug out kit gun as my main rifle, and then I'll have a 22 pistol backup because of SAWC. Question is this, in this tabletop review of the Savage A22, Magnum by the way, not the regular 22 long rifle, would this be a good bug out kit gun? And I know some of you guys are wondering that probably right off the bat, and maybe some of y'all have been thinking about it. Hey, a lightweight 22 Magnum rifle, this is 5 pounds 10 ounces as configured, and they actually have a shorter one too, that I would recommend, but the only problem is that shorter one is not in 22 Magnum. And when I went to Gunnies, the great American gun store with Wyatt and company, and I picked this A22, I kind of wanted to do a 22 Mag because it's time. I mentioned that in the BOK videos, you guys know this, but it is so much more capable than a long rifle. So this is the one I got for test and review. All the shooting is complete, multiple outings served. I got a few things to say about it, a couple bad things, some good things. As always, it is an independent voice. That's right, I don't go to the manufacturer to get the gun. Therefore, maybe they're expecting positive things always to be said. I get it from Gunnies, the Great American Gun Store. I do ask, I do expect you guys give them some business of one sort or another. Drop by in Orem, Utah, say hey to Wyatt, punch him in the shoulder for me hard, and say that's from Nut and Fancy. Okay, maybe not that hard because he's kind of delicate. You don't want to make him cry. just kidding, Wyatt. He watches the show all the time. Just kidding. Question though, is the A22 or its sister gun in 17 HMR a good bug out kit choice? Now, we're going to answer that question before the GRV ends. But we're going to start off, I mentioned this, the weight, 5 pounds, 10 ounces. If you go with the 22 long rifle version of the A22, by the way, this tabletop, of course, will serve for that gun. It will be lighter. So the weight is in the ballpark. It is heavier than the Papoose, substantially heavier. It is more full featured. It has a full stock. We'll talk about that when we go to features review. And it is longer in overall length. As I set it up here on tabletop, I was like, I probably should have done a freaking bunker review on this because it is a long gun overall length. At the top there is, do you guys remember when I reviewed that? Savage FVSR bolt action and 22 long rifle, obviously not 22 mag. You can tell by looking at the magazine. High value weaver scope on it. It's running a can on it, threaded barrel. This is a great gun, and I like the bolt action because this is kind of a pest control gun for me, so it can run, longs. It can run really heavy bullets out of it and not have any issues in reliability. Now, if you were to go to the history of a 22 Magnum semi-auto, and I'm not going to delve in it too deeply, but they've had problems making a 22 Magnum function in semi-auto. Because it is a delayed blowback, there's a certain engineering that has to take place to make it reliable. There's been some guns that have come and gone, and I think they've had problems with most of them. Same could be said, I haven't checked in with this for a while, but for 17 HMR. Making a semi-auto 17 HMR is also difficult. But here Savage has both of them in what I consider a very affordable platform, the A22. Philosophy views, super quick. I threw the BOK question out there. It's just going to linger until we circle back to it. But A22 Magnum, another reason I got it is it just has a broader philosophy of use, that you could use it for hunting certain game. Yes, you could. I don't know if it would be a go-to without rule of law gun for me. 22 Magnum is still a pea shooter in the big scheme of things. You guys know this. Maybe you don't. It is. It's still a 22 rimfire, even though it's a Magnum. It's much better than long rifle, but in comparison to a 5.56 or something, you guys know that it's way distant. Way distant. Recreational in 22 long rifle. Not in Magnum. I wouldn't do it in Magnum. It's just still too expensive. And I hit that pretty hard when we reviewed the Kel-Tec PMR 30s and then CMR 30 as well, which was highly unreliable, speaking of unreliable 22 mags. Now, I'm going to talk about this in reliability, how to shoot and all that stuff, but let me bounce ahead real quick. 22 Magnum, thing that I've learned in testing it is that the cartridges are very delicate. It's not 1980 anymore when they use thicker brass, and I really think they did. Now the casings for 22 Magnum are so thin, again mentioned I believe in the Kel-Tec reviews, they dent readily. And I think when you dent a 22 Magnum cartridge, or the case I should say, you can have some issues with it. And that is, I think, another downside to using a semi-auto, because maybe you do that and maybe it leads to reliability problems. Just a thought. And I bring it up now because we're talking philosophy of use, serious social purposes. I don't want to have to specially load a magazine and be careful not to dent the brass under stress. No. So lack of power, easily dented cases, no thank you. Recreational, go with the 22 long rifle version, of which they have some great ones, by the way. It's not just this flavor. They have the A22 FBSR. It looks just like this one, not with that cool Dura-coated multicam finish that I have on this one. That was custom done. Did not come from factory. But they have it in moss yoke. It is a semi-auto 22 long rifle, and it has a 10-round rotary magazine like the A22 does. So I think they've gotten rid of this one, which was okay, but we did have some issues of it spreading apart. Imagine that during testing, and I talk about that in the review. But they do have the A22 FVSR. They've got the A22 also in, and these are in Magnum calibers too, a target thumb hole. So that would be a bench rest gun. A22 Pro Varmint, that's a full pistol grip Boyd's wood stock. It's pretty heavy. I think it has a fluted barrel on it. Again, a bench rest gun, maybe a dedicated varmint gun. And I'm not a hunter. I don't go out and kill things. I don't like killing things. No apologies. I don't. I'm not against hunting. I just don't do it personally. But if I was going to go out and shoot prairie dogs, I wouldn't use 22 Magnum. I probably wouldn't use 5.56. I'd use something hotter. You know, something I could really range out with. Lots of great calibers out there. So, yeah, you could use it hunting, but first choice, maybe not. And then again, BOK or survival use. We'll come back to that, I promise. Features review on the A22. I love a traditional stock. Man, I've been saying that for so long. I just like them. They're comfortable. They fit me. There's no hokiness about them. Here you have a traditional full-length 13.5-inch length of pull plastic stock. Free floats the barrel on the Savage A22 series. Again, this is the Magnum. Love the stock on this thing. I've really got no issues with it. It is just perfect. Got a rubber butt pad here. It needs to be taped with some electrical tape. 2 thumb studs, one in the back, one in the front. Some attempt at traction on the pretty much full pistol grip with a Savage logo on the cap there. That's cool. Totally plastic trigger guard. I've got no issues with that at all. Plastic, plastic, plastic. No issues because it makes it light. Relatively light for a full-length rifle. And then it's not really a beaver tail front end. It's a sporter front end with, again, an attempt at traction. It doesn't do that much. I mean, it's kind of blocky. You can get traction here, But because of the way the stock is configured, it would be really easy to apply skateboard tape here. I've done it so many times, shown you in reviews so many times. You could do it, and dude, with skateboard tape on the pistol grip up here, this sucker's going to lock in. Going to lock in though. But ergonomically, for me personally, I'm 6'3", I'm a tall guy. It totally fits me just fine. I'm kind of glad that Savage dispensed with some hokey, marketing-only, interchangeable things here on the buttstock. Not that I'm against them. I talked about them in the Ruger American, but I just don't think a lot of people use them. They're just going to leave the medium-sized one in, and that's how it will stay. And I'm speaking from a lot of experience, being at the range, seeing how guys are operating. I'm going to kill this sucker. Oh, dead. Totally got him. Talking to them and say, hey, do you ever swap your pistol grip inserts out? Do you ever swap your buttstock inserts out? And the answer is no. So I love the stock. The stock is fantastic. Trigger also fantastic. It's an Accu trigger. Need I say more? It is so good that it has become the most copied trigger that I can see. The Accu trigger. I mean, everyone copies the Accu trigger. Maybe not exactly, but in function, absolutely. It's adjustable, it has a blade in it, it pulls so crisply. I've been reviewing it ever since I started the project. No need to really talk about it in depth. It's fantastic. An Accu trigger is awesome. The side load lockout feature is gone. I don't see that in this gun, i.e. when the gun is cocked, will you decock it by pushing on the side of the trigger. That used to be the case many years ago when I started TNP, and I ranted about it, rightly so, and they changed it. So that's gone. They're like, oh, it's a safety thing. I'm like, no, it's a stupid thing. You need to get rid of it. Cross bolt, safety, no issues with that. I like the forward placement on that. It's perfect. Would I prefer a tang safety up here? No, I wouldn't. I like this just fine. Just fine. Here's your bolt hold open right here. Easily done. There is no last shot hold open with this. It does make me a little bit sad. I love the bolt knob on this thing. Look at that. That looks almost aftermarket, doesn't it? And it's different, I think, on the regular 22 long rifle. So this, again, the 22 Magnum version. It's got that big old plastic knob on there. Well done. Your takedown, which I'm not going to do here for time, is done right through here. You'll push in that pin with a little punch. You'll remove this dust cover, and then you'll take out the recoil spring assembly from the steel receiver and just follow your instructions. It's not that difficult. I did it a couple times, and I was checking the lubrication, and it wasn't that bad. Is it easier or harder than a 1022, which is kind of a standard to measure? I like how I don't have to take the action out of the stock with an A22. That's pretty cool. I think I can do a 1022 quicker than this, though. Quicker. The top of the receiver is drilled and tapped for your bases, which are included. That's high value. I like that. I had these value 30mm aluminum rings. I put those on, and then I put on a favorite high value scope, the Nikon Pro Staff 7. Great scope. And it's a great scope for this rifle. It's relatively lightweight. Look at the low mounting I have with the A22 Magnum. Perfect. You could range out easily with a scope and the caliber actually to 300 yards, I think. And you could experiment with a ballistic reticle and find out what your holdover is. If you don't want to mess around with your dials, I almost always use my dials if I'm doing long range. I know, it's crazy. I shouldn't do that, but I do it. Rings, I forget where they're from. They're pretty inexpensive. I think they're UTGs. And the thing I don't like about them is I don't need 3 screws in this. 2's fine. Even with like a 308, it'd be just fine. On a battle rifle, I don't see the scopes walking if you crank down 4 per cap. It'll work just fine. The barrel. First, a criticism. It is crowned. That's all good. It's pretty standard. It's finished in blue. I don't mind that. That's cool. It's a sport taper, so it's a lightweight taper. I don't mind that. But it's not threaded. Granted, with a tapered barrel, they won't do it. They're usually going to give you a straight profile like with this one, with FVSR right here. Straight barrel, no taper, fluted, threaded. That's when you can do it. And that's when Savage does do it, and others as well. Sport taper, no threading. Bummer. I did want to run a can on it. I really did, especially in the Magnum. It would have been outstanding. But this is model number 47400. Longer barrel. It's relatively quiet. I don't think you need a can. It's just for giggles. And maybe certain applications you would want a can on it. No threading here. That being said, though, the barrel quality on this, as we will talk about here in a couple minutes, really excellent from what I can tell. Unlike perhaps some, I don't know, blips in the radar screen that we've seen at Savage previously. I'm talking about the MSRs. MSR 15, not that accurate. MSR 10, it's okay. Wasn't great. And I said it in the tabletops, I was like, what's going on at Savage with these barrels? I mean, they are pretty much all about the barrels, right? They are. I mean, they do a great job, or have done a great job on their barrels, but in those tabletops, I wasn't too impressed. And I said as much. In fact, we had an MSR 15 shooting so bad, I mean, it was like we couldn't figure out what the heck was going on with it. It got sent back to the factory. I gave it back to Gunnies, like, yeah, this thing ain't shooting. If memory serves, I think it was MSR 15. But this one seems pretty squared away, no threading, blued, free floated, and it has screw in or thread in head spacing right here if you care. Other features. All right, so this is, I don't know, kind of copying Ruger, I guess, in a way. I'm talking in function. So that's pretty funny. So everyone copies Savage to include Ruger, their trigger, and then Savage goes, okay, cool, 2 can play that game. We'll do a rotary box magazine that holds 10 rounds. Easy to load. Again, this was in WMR. There you go. One thing I'm not super fond of is I don't like the plastic right here. I don't know how that's going to last over time. So there's just a plastic tab that it attaches in. I think that's plastic here as well. So plastic. How's that going to last over time? It seems like it's good, and polymers are so excellent these days. I don't really want to knock it and say it's a piece of crap. I'm just saying it's, I don't know, it's just a concern. Maybe 5-10 years down the road, we see that these aren't falling out because this spring plastic has either snapped off in 0-degree temperatures, voice of experience, or it's just, you know, lost its holding power and the magazine falls out. But it goes in easy, it's flush fit, it's a lot better magazine than this one, and this 22 up here. And again, I talked about that at length in that review. Here's your action screw right here, Allen head, and I think that's pretty much features. We covered most things, I think. How did it shoot? This is a fun review, by the way. I don't know why, but I'm having a good time with it. Well, here's the deal. When I started shooting the A22 Magnum, it absolutely sucked. I mean, Sean, the TNPP, and I went out, and that thing, actually, I can't remember which outing came first, because I took it on a couple outings alone, and then Sean shot it with me. Maybe it was reliable with him. I forget. I'll show you inset video. But it was completely unreliable at first. I mean, it was really bad. And I wasn't shooting crap ammo. I was shooting Hornady Critical Defense 22 Magnum. I think it was that. And it was jamming. Like a lot. And I didn't really plan to have Hornady because it's really expensive. I'm a non-sponsored reviewer. Buy everything. But I was like, what the heck? I can't believe this thing's having problems. And then I shot S&B, Cellar and Bellet, and that was bad as well. And I basically left that outing really pissed at the A22 Magnum. Like, I was very unimpressed with it. Couple outings later, I found it to be reliable, mostly. Occasional stoppage here and there. And I was basically just running CCI Maxi Mags out of it. That it liked. So, was it a break-in issue? Don't know. Was it an ammo issue? I suspect. So with the 22 Magnum, I think you may, if you buy an A22 Magnum, I think you're gonna have to spend some time finding out what ammunition your rifle likes. Almost always, if a gun does not work with CCI mini mags in a long rifle or maxi mags in a Magnum, something's wrong with the gun, because those are high pressure for the load and they should be able to cycle the action. Once that happened, then I was like, okay, at least I can go to tabletop and not totally condemn this gun. And I'm not going to condemn it. I'm just going to say it showed some ammo finickiness for us. Your mileage may vary. Maybe you have an A22 Magnum. You're putting all types of loads through it. It works great. And I did not click around the internet to see what other guys were saying. I suspect it's going to be mostly good. It usually is. But I'm really careful about what reviews I would ever read or watch because I don't trust them. You know, what I'll trust is as a user, an owner of the gun that has nothing to gain and just tells the truth. But it's hard to find out that sometimes, just sometimes, on a review online. Accuracy. I made a slight mention of this previously. I apologize, I do not have paper for this gun. I looked everywhere for the A22 Magnum targets. I cannot find them. Granted, my shooting with this gun was completed a long time ago, like 6 months ago, and I have a constant flow of targets coming along. Here's some right here. And they're not in this stack. They're not in 3 other stacks. Sorry. But I will tell you this. Hopefully I have it on video. The thing was very accurate. Very accurate. So if memory serves, I think at like 1 MOA accuracy at 100 yards. So like I'm talking about the barrel on the A22 from this example, thumbs up. Super accurate. Super. Yeah, so how did it shoot? Really fun to shoot. Low recoil impulse, even though we didn't have a suppressor on it. Sean and I are remarking how quiet it is. It was really fun to shoot. Has more recoil and more thrust, if you will, than a 22 long rifle. We really like how we can hear hits on steel a lot better than the very underpowered 22 long rifle. Like I said, I could range out to 300 yards with this. I would prefer to make it a max of 200 if it was up to me. The Magnum, call me crazy. That's just how I am. So, would I buy it? Well, I made mention of this, I think. Maybe I didn't. I don't know how I'll edit it. But what I would really like to see is the FVSR. And by the way, it's called an Overwatch, subject to change, but they're calling it Overwatch now. It's in 22 long rifle. I'll roll it on a screenshot. It's a mossy oak. It's got the straight barrel, just like my gun at the top here, but it's in the semi-auto action. It has that mossy oak, super cool camo pattern. Make that in 22 Magnum. And if you were to do that, the answer is yes, I would. Because now I could put a can on it. Now it has a shorter overall length. It can fit into a lot more systems. Yeah, this particular model, 47400, would I buy it? I wouldn't, because I don't really have a systems need for it. In other words, it's kind of, and here we go, come back to the bug out kit question. Is this a good bug out kit gun, Nut and Fancy? I'm going to say no, it isn't, because it's too long in its overall length, and it's too heavy. When I go above 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds for my rifle, I'm just like, I got too many other things I need to carry with human power. You follow? So no, I wouldn't. And I would say maybe the same for that FVSR. If they came out with that in 22 mag, would I carry that as a bug out kit gun? It's basically like this gun. It's going to be the same weight. This isn't exactly light. Like I said, non-tapered barrel, fluted. It's still a chunk of steel out here, bros. That's a chunk of steel. So, no. But, you know, motorcycle gun, maybe some specific applications. Like if you live somewhere on rural property and you want something short overall length, kind of like this gun. I wish this was in 22 Magnum, really. Yeah, then I would get it. But for bug out kit, either flavor of the A22, no. Still too heavy. Subject to change, don't hold me to it. I mean, I could end up loving that gun. And the downside, I think, to 22 Magnum in terms of capacity is you will be stuck with your 10-round mags. I hear tell there are extended magazines for a regular A22. You're not just stuck with 10 rounds. I didn't really click around looking, but I hear that. How about this gun versus the A17 and 17 HMR? Well, again, that's kind of a whole testing protocol too, because now 17 HMR, like I said, making it a reliable semi-auto. I don't know, maybe Savage nailed it and it's super reliable, but I'd have to go test that. I love 17 HMR, I really do. I think it's super flat shooting. I've shot it. I have a 17 HMR Savage bolt gun, actually. I really do. I'll review it someday. And I love that caliber. It's lighter weight than 22 mag. Maybe the question is, going back to BOK, if you were to make an FVSR in 17 HMR, you made it 5 pounds flat, or better yet, 4 pounds, 10 ounces. Can you do that, Savage? Sure you can. Make this a sleeved barrel. So do a carbon fiber exterior with a stainless steel insert. Oh, that's a great idea. And then do everything you can to lighten it up, and then make it in 17 HMR. And then come out with higher capacity mags for it. Mossy oak camo, still going to be the Overwatch. Make it in 22 Magnum, 17 HMR. If you got it to around 4 pounds, 10 ounces, then my answer changes. Then I'd go, yeah, I'd probably think about that being a bug out kit gun in this short overall length. Daddy, like that. That's exciting. I still like the gun a lot. I really do. I enjoyed shooting the A22 Magnum when it was working. I really did. It was lubricated, by the way, in case you're wondering. And do keep it clean, keep it lubricated. It is a rimfire gun still. Super excellent. In those flavors, I would buy it, totally. Watch for the review, by the way, is a pretty excellent Nautica Key West with a Nut and Fancy hands modification on it. Bezel modification. Yeah, that is an excellent watch. Cost $50, $48 for this watch. Gray silicone band. I don't even know if you can find it. Jump in eBay maybe. I don't think I have a link for you on that one. So sorry. Ferrum Forge Crocs on the table, y'all. There's a link for that. That's one of Mass Drops. They call them Drop Now. Their best knives. It's put together for Ferrum Forge by We Knives. Here we've got some cool TNP patches, nutandfancybigcartel.com. I don't have that one there. This is kind of a Chip Foos 1/64 scale Camaro. Look how cool that thing is. Dudes, that is awesome. Red motif coming here. That is a much larger scale VW Bug with a chop on it, just like my old Bug. Man, I love that thing. Cheetah was his name. And I always wanted to do this mod to my Bug. I never got around to it because it's very expensive and it requires a lot of work. So when I saw this, I was like, man, that's the way I wanted my Cheetah car to look. Never got to it. Fire engine, flight computer, M9A1, watches, more fun stuff, squadron flag. I gotta wrap it up. A22 Magnum, good gun, had some issues, straightened itself out, flew right, very accurate, very fun to shoot. Thanks for subbing, thanks for clicking on the video, thanks for being part of the TNP family. It is a family, especially over there at Patreon. Click on the link below, join up. The flow is about 4 times there than it is on the A channel. Over and out, Nut and Fancy. Thank you.